Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name's Leonie, aka Stitching Noni, and this is my YouTube channel all about cross stitch. I'd like to welcome old and new subscribers. Thank you all for joining me today in my craft room for my update for February and March 2021. The last video I recorded was actually just a January update, so this one is a bit of a double whammy, so you'll have 2 months in one go. I would like to just do a very quick shout out to Kerry in Stitches. She did a shout out a couple of weeks or a couple of months ago now probably on one of her videos to try and encourage people to visit some FlossTube channels that don't have a lot of subscribers, and she shouted me out, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much. So I was thinking that's actually a really good idea and should have a look at some of the people that I follow that maybe don't have many subscribers, and I will do something very similar to that. I didn't get myself organized to do that for this one, but definitely I will do it. If not, and then at the end of this, if I put in a little sort of thing at the end, I'll definitely make sure I'm organized for the next one. So thanks for that, Kerry, appreciate that. And welcome to the new subscribers that have come across from Kerry through her shout out, and welcome to anyone who's found me through other means, and welcome to my old subscribers who come back every time and see me when I do get around to putting up a video, which isn't as often as it should be, so I do apologize. Anyway, I'm back again. My last video was back at the beginning of February, which would have been just a January update. So we've got 2 months. I have stuff sort of sitting everywhere because I've got 2 months work to do. Hopefully we'll get through this without too many interruptions from catties and puppies and everything else, but we'll see how we go. So it might be in 2 takes, but I'm trying for 1. Right, relax, start. So my very first whips that I'm going to show you are the ones that I class as my focus whips. They're the ones that I picked for the Daily 30 zombie run. I'm Team Human, which means on that zombie run, I have a stopping point at every 400 stitches. If you're a Team Zombie, it's every 200 stitches. And you have a certain number of stitches miles to complete each month to stay within the zombie run. So at the beginning, or actually the end of last year, I chose 4 whips that I wanted to use as focus whips. 3 of them being large whips and 1 small. My idea being that the small, with a bit of luck, I would finish every couple of months, and then it would be a way of finishing some whips off this year. I'm doing no new starts this year, so I haven't as yet had a start at all, so I'm doing really well. So 3 months in, no new starts, and I don't even actually have an urge. A couple of times I have had a tiny urge to buy a new chart and start it, but that doesn't last very long. So I don't know why. I don't know if it's because there's so much encouragement within the group that we're in, with everybody not doing new starts and everyone's working on their whips, or whether it's just because I've actually for some reason decided I actually do need to focus on some whips and get some finishes in. So we'll see where we go. I apologize, you can probably hear my washing machine going crazy. With a bit of luck, it'll finish its spin cycle in a minute and you won't hear it anymore. So yeah, focus whips. Get out of practice. I've forgotten sort of what I'm supposed to be doing. The first one. So the first one is Cathedral Woods Goddess. Well, I shouldn't say the first one, but the first one on my list today is Cathedral Woods Goddess. This one was my birthday start last year, and it's a Mirabilia, so that's this one here. I have completed quite a few stitches in this, so I'm quite pleased with this. I will put in a before pic so you can see what it looked like before, but this is where she's at now. So since you last saw it, I've put in a whole bunch of gold stitches. I had to do a challenge in Magical Stitches for gold stitching. So it was that was last week or the week before last. I had to do 250 gold stitches. I'd already done some of the gold in here for another challenge, something else, can't remember what it was now. So I then, might have been, I think it was Sane's Master Stitch. I chose gold. So then I've completed the gold in the antlers and then moved down and started doing the gold down here. Get my 250. So now I've got some gold down in that feathering. I've also done a reasonable amount of work in her dress and put in some more water lilies. So the blank spaces up the top here are basically beads and some other colours, of course, but mainly some beading and a couple of, I think some more, not so crying, some more water lilies as well. This is stitched on a 28 count Opal Lugana Malicious from Under the Sea Fabrics, and I'm stitching her all in the called for DMC water lilies and chronic, and that's where she's at. So in February I put in 616 stitches in her, and I did one leg for the zombie run with that and then used her for another prompt in the group. And then in March I did 2 legs of the zombie run with her and got in 837 stitches. So all up, 1500 stitches or thereabouts, 1400 stitches. So pretty good for those 2 months. So she's coming along really, really well. I have a goal to get some, it'd be nice to have a finish on her, but if I don't, I don't. She's in my Whip Go board, but we'll talk about Whip Go further down the track. Pop it down there. The next lady I have, who's also a zombie run lady and a focus whip, is London by Joan Elliott. This is out of a magazine. So my chart comes from the Cross Stitch Gold issue 81 from a number of years ago now. I am stitching her on 28 count Opal Brittany Shadow Moon, and this is where she's at now. So I will put in a before pic and you will see, and I have done quite a lot of work on her. In February I did 1002 stitches, and in March I did 814, so nearly 2000 stitches in 2 months. It's pretty good. So we have worked on, that's just a page break there. So I've done all of this in here, all of this in here. I've come up here. I'm now working onto this sleeve. I think when I showed it last, it was probably only around about that area. And that's where she's at now. She's looking awesome. I really like her. The purple block stitching actually came in handy for Master Stitch. I used her a lot for the Sane Master Stitch for the other, because I used purple for the other. I started her in November last year, so 21st of November 2020, and it would be nice to have a reasonably close to a finish on her if I can, but we'll see how we go. Okay, now my third one that I picked last year for my zombie run is now finished. I'll get it out. So this is Christmas Tea from With Thy Needle and Thread. That's now finished. I finished this one on the 18th of March and didn't actually have, which I was reasonably sure I wouldn't, but I didn't actually have quite 400 stitches to complete a run, but that's okay because I made up the stitches with the other whips to actually get my total number in. So this one is stitched on 36 count Oaken from Picture This Plus, and it was stitched in all the called for Week Star Works and Gast, and I'd stitched that 1/2, and I absolutely love it. So cute. It is so cute. It's gorgeous. So in February I put in 551 stitches, and I was going to, and in hindsight I should have, because I should have realised that I could have just completed that actually in February, because it would have given me a second sort of run on it, but I didn't. So I did 551 stitches in February and 341 stitches and finished her in March, or finished it in March. So, one down. I actually had 2 finishes in March, but we'll get to the next one in a minute. Okay, the big baby. So, number 4 on the list of focus whips for 2021 is Quarantine Cats. Now with Quarantine Cats, I will put in a picture of what it looks like. And you will see this all the time because this is really my favourite right now. So in February, I put in 1,412 stitches and 1,076 stitches in March, and I've done 164 stitches yesterday on it. This is a Hayde design and the artwork is by Bridget Ashwood. Stitched on 25 count Lugana 1/1, all in DMC, and I am loving it. Just love it, love it, love it, love it. It is amazing. I don't know whether it's really coming out on the video, but the whole curtains and I just love how you can see it when you're looking at it. How the curtains are coming out, the flowers stand out. I've got the bird cage. This is the bird cage starting here, but just amazing. It actually almost looks like the folds in the curtain are standing up. Just love it. So I managed to finish a block off yesterday up here, and I'm working on a block just here at the moment. So I'm doing my version of diagonal. I hope it's right. So doing diagonal stitching on it, and the back, yeah, well, I'm learning to ignore the back and sort of do it as best I can. I've even tried two-handed stitching on this. I actually feel I'm faster with one-handed stitching than two-handed on this. And I find that sometimes when I've done two-handed, I actually don't realise that I've got a knot in the thread. Whereas with doing it normally with one hand, I tend to notice the tension better. I don't know. It's just practice, I think. I'm sure it's just practice. But yeah, I absolutely love it. I'm so happy with how this is coming out. So when I finish talking today, we'll be coming back to that. With having a 4-day weekend this weekend for Easter is just awesome, because it means I'm going to get 4 days work on this. 2 bonus days essentially for the month, and then we have another long weekend for Anzac Day towards the end of the month, so I will have some more time on that then, which will be really good. I'm just trying to think where I can put this that it's not going to get knocked over. It's such a big thing. I'll just pop it down there. Hopefully it'll be okay. There's no cats in here, so at the moment it should be fine. Okay. So they're my 4 focus whips. So obviously with Christmas tea being finished, I've had to slot in a new focus whip, and I'll talk about that towards the end of the video when I get back to, because I have started working on it. So I'll talk about that shortly. Now, I forgot to mention Daily 30 group is actually a closed group, and every now and then they do let people in, but not very often. And of course, by the time they do and then they stop, it's no good me telling you because I don't feel often enough to tell you. I think I forgot. Christmas tea, I started that on the 6th of May last year, and finished it on the 18th of March this year. And Quarantine Cats, I started on Christmas Day last year, and I'm continuing to work on, so close that out. Focus whips are closed out for now. Okay, so the next thing that I will talk about is my whip go board. I will put up a picture of my whip go board as what it looks like today. So the last time I spoke to you, obviously I had worked on the January whip go, and the February numbers would have been drawn, I would have thought, but I may be wrong. So February numbers were 4 and 20, and so for me that was Eiffel Quaker and 3 for tea. I did pull out both of those for the month, but 3 for tea, only got 127 stitches in that one. And Eiffel Quaker, I got 418 stitches in March. Sorry, in February. The March numbers for Whip Go were, for me, Peacock Lady and Maidens of the Season. In March, I pulled both of those out, and I'll talk about those in a moment. And April, the Whip Go numbers being 3 and 21, is Cinderella and Pomegranate Santa. So 3 months in a row I've had Mirabilias drawn, which is okay, it's fine. Now with my Whip Go board, as you would see, was the colours. So I'm going to leave it up here for a minute while I talk to you about the colours. So the blue colour in my Whip Go board is called but I haven't finished the goal that I've set. The orange colour is where it's been called, the number's been called, and I've now finished the goal. So you will see I have 2 oranges on there. So Free Space was called in January, so that was fine. And Eiffel Quaker was called, as I mentioned, in February, and I finished it, but I finished it in March, so I'll show you that in a moment. The green one on my whip go board is where I have actually finished the goal I set for that particular whip, but it hasn't actually been called yet. So as you can see, I have 3 greens currently sitting on that. So the greens being Cathedral Wood Goddess. I set a goal of 10 days stitching on that. It was a bit of a small goal now when I think about the fact that I actually chose that to be a focus piece. I probably could have set that goal higher, but I'm glad I set it as a low one. So that's done. So as soon as that comes up, that'll go to orange. London, I only set a 5-day stitching goal on that. And again, I could have set a higher goal on that, but I learnt my lesson last year. I set quite high goals and didn't achieve very much. So setting smaller goals on the bigger projects, I think it actually is much more achievable. And Christmas tea, as you'll see, I have finished Christmas tea, but it hasn't actually been called yet. So all the blues are where they've been called, but I haven't finished the goal, if that makes sense. So there's still obviously quite a few there to be drawn. Now there's some now that I'm looking at them like kitty litter, and I'm thinking, why did I put that on there? Because I really can't be bothered stitching on it, but I'll pull it out when it gets drawn and try and get it some time on it. And probably also pumpkins for sale. I should just pull that out because I'm so close to finishing it, but I'm going to wait until it's drawn for that time. Quarantine Cats, I had put a goal as a page finish, and I reckon I should be able to achieve that in the next month or 2. So I'm really pleased with that one. There's a Whip Go weekend next weekend, and so we'll focus on Cinderella and Pomegranate Santa and do a couple 100 stitches or thereabouts in those. So let's move on then to some of these little Whip Go things and show you what I've been doing. So February, as I said, was a draw for Eiffel Quaker and 3 for Tea. So Eiffel Quaker is by Jardin Privé, and this is the one that I have chosen my own colours for, and I'm very pleased to say that I have finished it. So I finished that on the 18th of March also, so 2 finishes in one day. I started this on the 2nd of September 2017, and it is stitched on 32 count antique ivory, and I apologise, I actually should have ironed this because I forgot how horrible this is, but this fabric is very creased. But this is what it looks like, all finished. So my colour choices, as I've mentioned previously, were around the Les Mis movie and musical, the song Red and the Black, which is why there is a lot of red and black in it, and also red, white and blue. So the blue and the white just as a reference to the French flag, although obviously not quite the right colour blue for the French flag. So all done. Really pleased. The only thing I'm not sure about is I decided that I didn't have enough white at the bottom, so I've made that white, and it looks a bit silly, I think. So I may, I don't know, I may pull that out before I do anything more with it and restitch it, but for the moment I'm quite pleased. So I spent a lot of time on this one, using it for master stitch in March and a couple of other things. I can't remember what else I used it for, but I'm really pleased that I managed to finally get that finished. That's been hanging around for just a little bit too long, and now I can't work out how I had it folded. So it will get, at some point, probably framed, I think. I think we might frame that one, but we'll see how we go. So yeah, really pleased. So 418 stitches I got in that one in February, but I did 956 stitches in March and finished it. So really, it was almost a focus whip for March there for a little while. Then 3 for Tea was the other one. So this is a Mirabilia. This was my birthday start back in 2019. Declare which is the best way to do this. 3 for tea. So I started this with a couple of friends back in 2019, as I mentioned. It is stitched on 28 count Opal Lugana Angel of the Morning. Lovely, lovely, lovely piece of... I didn't do very well on this one at all. For February, I only got 127 stitches in. So all I really did was just lengthen the green. Now for March, I had planned to do something like, there was a March Madness thing going all around different Facebook groups and stuff. And I did join the March Madness Facebook group that was set up for it. I also then, Stitch from Stash, they did a March Madness event for the month. So I decided I would do a Mirabilia Madness, which was fine, except it didn't really get there very much. So this one didn't come out at all in March, unfortunately. And my whip go goal on this is 5 days, so I've only done 1 day. But it will come back out. It will come out. It will definitely come. I'm not sure how I'm going to do my birthday this year, given that I'm doing no new starts. I would like to do a birthday start if I can. If not, probably this will come out and I'll stitch on that on my birthday, but we'll see what happens. So I've got 2 birthday starts in my whips for the year, so we'll just see what happens on that one. So yeah, she's looking very sad, but that's okay. We'll get there. So the March whip go draw was Peacock Lady and Maidens of the Season. So that worked really well for what I was going to do for March Madness. So that's awesome. But of course I didn't do March Madness as we've mentioned. So Peacock Lady is a Joan Elliott. And this is out of a magazine. It came from the World of Cross Stitching issue 134. I think now it might be a chart pack, but don't quote me on that. And I'm stitching this on 28 count Opal, sorry, 28 count Brittany Opal Brittany, After the Rain from Jodery Designs. And this is what it looks like. Now, when you see the before picture, you're going to go, it don't look no different. No, it don't really. But I did, I promise, I did. So, you'll notice, we'll just do a fold down in here, that the peacock's got a leg. So I've basically, in this instance, when I pulled it out, I did 202 stitches, which is actually 404 back stitches. And I pulled it out for the Whip Go weekend and started back stitching. So I've done her leg, and on that side I've started doing around the table. Had I done all of the table? No, just the top part of the table. And I started back stitching on the bird. So he's got a leg, 2 legs. So he's got 2 legs to stand on. And focus, bit of stuff in there, and Catty's back. So yes, so that's all we did. I should have done some more of that tail, but to be honest, it's not exciting with that tail. So it's going to be one of those things I'm going to have to pull it out as a focus and try and focus in here at some point. Maybe I might bring it out as a daily 30 or something, because if I'm going to finish it this year, I seriously have to get into that tail. And there's not a lot to do. It's mainly the tail and all the back stitching and just finishing in a little bit there and putting the beading in. So the main bulk of the stitching is done except for this bit in here. But there is a lot of beading and this sort of back stitching, especially around in this space. So I do need to get a backside into here and do that one. Maidens of the Season. Okay, so Maidens of the Season. Oh, I started Peacock Lady on the 9th of July 2017, if I didn't mention that before. So Maidens of the Season is another Mirabilia. This is Maidens of the Season number 1. And I started this one on the 28th of May 2017, and it was one of my mania starts back then. It doesn't get a lot of love very often, unfortunately, which is silly because it is absolutely beautiful. And it is a out of print chart now for anyone who might want either of these. I do have them both, but I've only started this one. So this is where it's at now. You will have a before pic, and you will see catty. You will see I have not done a whole lot, but I've extended the borders down. So we will do it this way. Felix, that's enough. So we worked on the purple in here. So I did this for my semi-sane stitches, master stitch in purple. Brought the border down on this side. Then went to the other side because I needed some brown. I did bring a little bit more of the border down here, but not a lot. And I mainly worked on the border on this side in the brown and brought it down to here. So this is stitched on 28 count Lugana, Opal Lugana Silver Springs from Colour Cascade Fabrics. Really enjoyed working on this. This should have really stayed out a bit longer because filling in this was just so nice. So yeah. But this will come out. It does have a whip go goal of 10 stitching days, and I've done 7 so far, so I've still got 3 more days to bring it out and finish the goal on that one. So it will come out again. I'm just not sure when. May bring it out in May for its anniversary date. Right, let's pop them down there as well. Oops. Okay, so April whip go. The 2 that have been drawn, one is Cinderella. I haven't done any stitching so far on Cinderella, so there's nothing to show there. And Pomegranate Santa. So Pomegranate Santa, I have brought that out so far in April, and I've decided to work on that. Sort of like for my daily 30 to try. That the goal on that is a finish, so it'd be really nice if I could get it finished this month. I don't think I will, but let's see how we go. So Pomegranate Santa. This is a Plum Street Santa's design, and that's this one here. I love stitching on this, so gorgeous. So I did bring it out on the 1st of April. I'll put in a before pic so you'll see. And I worked on it on the 1st of April and got over 500 stitches in on it, which was pretty awesome given it was a work day. But I had 2 phone calls that were going for about an hour, so I just thought, oh, I'm not going to work, I might as well just stitch. And then I worked on, got another 100 or so in it yesterday, and this is where I am now. So I'm focusing on this bit at the moment, and I've used this for Crystal Academy's, one of the spell things, had to do stitch on something that could be made from clay. Well, plant pots are made from clay, can be, they're not all plastic. So that's why I thought I'll focus on this. So I've done the little rope or whatever he's got here, to done all of his sled and all of the pot, and I've now started working on the tree. So as I mentioned, this will now be my daily 30 piece. I'm also using it for a couple of other sort of challenges here and there, but mainly my daily 30. Let's see how we go. This is stitched on 36 count Edinburgh Tyco from Picture This Plus, and I'm stitching it on stitching it 1/2 on 36 count with all the called for weeks and whatever it's got, not weeks, Classic Colourworks floss. I just absolutely love it. It's gorgeous, so pretty. Oh, Felix, I love you, Felix, go away. Now, so that rounds out the whip go pretty much. There's one more whip go which I'll talk to you about now, and it rounds out my focus whips. So this one is a whip go and a focus whip for the year, but is only stitched in short bursts, and I'm talking about my Winter Alphabet. So Winter Alphabet by Lizzie Kate. I'm using this for the Semi-Sane Stitches Alphabet Challenge this year, and every 2 weeks you stitch a letter. So this actually is working really well, because if I'd gone for anything bigger, I probably wouldn't be keeping up, but I am able to keep up. And we've just done a G, and I think I've got another week or so before the letter H will start. So I'm really, really enjoying this. This is stitched on 28 count Opal Brittany Saharan June from Jodie Designs, and I'm stitching it in Week Style Works and DMC. It's almost as charted, except for where I've accidentally made boobies, but that's okay. It looks fine. So when you saw it last, I probably had only done like A and B, I think. And this is where we're at now. So in February I did 704 stitches, and in March I did 260. And the goal for the year is to get this finished. Now, from memory, that's the wrong colour, I think, but that's okay because, no, that wasn't the wrong colour. It was the C. The C I did in blue instead of the green, so I just sort of swapped around a little bit. But other than that, there's no other changes. It's pretty much as it's charted. I love it. It's cute. And it's an evening's work generally when I do these. It's going to be a pain. So I usually can manage to get the letter done in a day. Sometimes it's 2, but most times I can get it done in a day. He's being a pain. So yes, so that's winter alphabet now. Now, these two, you saw one of them in January. Yeah. So one of them you saw in January, and it was quite a surprise that I brought this out, and I kept it out in February, surprisingly. And that's the Lakeside Needlecraft Fantasy Sale. So in February, I stitched another 867 stitches on it. So for the year, weirdly, I've done 2,362 stitches on this, and I hadn't touched it for about 3 years. So I was quite, or 2 years at least. So I was quite surprised that I actually managed to keep stitching on it in February. But I have put it away now. I did toy with the idea of really bringing it or keeping it out for March and working on it every day. But I was starting to get tired. But this is where it's at now. So I'll put in the before pic. But in February, I finished. I can get it so that you can see it. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Finished the Phoenix and carried on working on the gnome. Did I start that? No, that was already started. So the Phoenix and the gnome had both been started, but they're now, Phoenix is finished, and gnome I did quite a bit on that because I think he was only a little bit started. So the only 2 I haven't, or 3 I haven't started are the, what have we got? May, June and July. I think, no, he's July, that's right. So yeah, he's started, that one started, and that one I haven't started. So there's 2, the May and June is what they were called in those days, those blocks. But not bad, considering the top row is now finished. And I can carry on. Bottom row's all finished. I'm not doing the major big border around this, as I've mentioned, but I will fill in these. I'm not sure whether I will fill them in as they're charted because I'm not real keen. They feel to me like very heavy for the way I've done my design or the way I've stitched it now. So I may either go to Doreen Jones's Facebook page and pick out some freebies, or I've got a stack of her designs hiding in the back there. So maybe like in all the magazines. So I may pick something smaller to fit in there. The little, like that little butterfly, it's quite nice. So that one might stay. That I think is just a bit too heavy. That's a bit heavy. I don't know. But certainly the little corner bits are fine. It's just those middle bits. But we'll come to that when we come to it. For the time being, it's gone away again. It may come out again this year. Who knows? It does work quite nicely with some different prompts for the different groups sometimes, but I did get tired of it. So that one's then weirdly I bought out the Happily Ever After sale. So this is the Frosted Pumpkin sale that I started back in 2017. So I started this on the 26th of January 2017, which is Australia Day. Not that that's got any relevance. And I had stitched, as you'll see from the, when I put the before pick up, you'll see where it was at. But I had basically, I'd started that and I'd done bits in here and sort of started around there and, you know, jumped all over the place. So this time when I bought it out, I thought I'd be a bit more methodical about it and try and just focus on getting some areas finished. So as I mentioned, you'll see the before pic. This is stitched on 32 count Belfast Dark Fantasy from Colour Cascade Fabrics, and I'm using mostly the called for threads, DMC, but I have changed some of it to my ideas. And this is what it looks like now. So during the month of February, I stitched 1,326 stitches on this. I finished the, what did I finish? The Billy Goat's Gruff one. So I finished that block. It's better if I do that, isn't it? So I finished that block. So Billy Goat's Gruff's all done. Then I finished Robin Hood. So where's Robin Hood hiding? There's Robin Hood. Yeah, that's Robin Hood down the bottom. Let's get Mr. Hood. So I finished him. And then I started the Ugly Duckling. So the Ugly Duckling is now going along and being stitched. Ooh, there's cows in that. Ooh, there's a prompt. I need cows for something. I could maybe I'll do I might leave this out. So there. So the thread changes that I have done is, this is a Dinky Dyes thread called Kalamunda, which is reminiscent, well, not reminiscent, is a, what's the word I'm looking for? A nod to where I used to live, and Mark used to live in the suburb next door when we were in the hills. He was in Lesmurdy, I was in Kalamunda. And this other colour here, which is also one that I've changed out, is the Jodery Designs one, and I can't think off the top of my head what it's called, and it will probably take too long to find it. So Christmas Dawn. So it's just some pretty blues and stuff. I'm sort of thinking it probably wasn't the right choice, but I'm not pulling it out now. So the border, all this little border's also being done in Kalamunda as well. So they were my little nods to Happily Ever After. So that one, I might have to remember to leave that out. We'll see how we go. Right, so 1,326 stitches, as I mentioned in that one. The next one we pulled out, this is in March. So I pulled this one out for a Mirabilia March thing. And this is Shimmering Mermaid. Now, she hasn't been out for a while, so I thought I'd better bring her out. I started her on the 6th of October 2017. So she was sort of a birthday start, but a belated birthday start. She's being stitched on 32 count Opal Belfast Oceans from Colour Cascade Fabrics. So very pretty little mermaidy style fabric. And this is where she's up to now. So as you will see from the before pic, which I will put up, I have now filled in this. I did 541 stitches, and guess what? They've all got to come out. Well, pretty much all of them. I boo-booed. And I hate this. When you think, I'm going to fudge it, it'll be okay. I know. So in here, where is it? Somewhere in here, I'm one stitch over. And I thought, oh, it'll be okay, because as I was stitching this, no, it's up here. That's right, it's there. So that's when I noticed it, when I was doing that green. And I went, oh, damn it, Janet. So all of this which I've done has to pretty much come out, because it's all out by one. I thought I would be able to keep going, because I started coming down here. But then everything down, when I did this is all going to be one stitch out. And I can't work out how I'm going to fudge it anymore, because I've stuffed it well and truly. So I'm going to have to bite the bullet. So that's why I stopped. As soon as I sort of thought I can't fudge anymore, because all of this is now out, I just thought, that's it, she's going away. And what I'll do is I'll take all of this out, and I'll just do something where, so when I'm on phone calls or something, I'll stitch it back in. So it won't be part of my sort of stitching plans as such. I'll just take it out. I might use it like for a daily 30 or something, and just stitch it back in. A couple of weeks worth of stitching it back in or something. It happens. it's just frustrating because some of that was blended thread. And that's because I've got the same problem with, not Miss Christmas Eve, the other one, Royal Holiday. I tried to fudge and the fudging just made it worse, so I just put it away and didn't touch it again. So I'll probably do the same thing with that, where I'll pull it out, take it all out, and then use it as a daily 30 and restitch it back in. So yeah, I was a little bit disappointed on that one, but never mind. It happens. The next one I'm going to show you is Glitter Village. So Glitter Village, I'm stitching them all together as per this design, or mock-up that they had. And I'm on to number 1 at the moment, which is this one here. I started this one on the 6th of December last year, and I started it specifically so that I would have this in my no new starts, because I knew that I wanted to do it as a group, and I thought, well, it gives me sort of like little mini finishes throughout the year. I have done another 518 stitches now in March on this one. So this is stitched on 28 count Opal Lagana Silver Springs by Colour Cascade Fabrics, and it's stitched in all of the core 4 threads. And this is where we're up to now. So I have so far, or in March, I stitched the rest of this white here, and I've done a bit more on this, and I did all of that green in there and a bit of green there. So I needed green for my master stitch, and I needed white for my master stitch for semi-sane stitches. So this one got a run for that. Nice big piece of fabric. But yes, it will come out again at some point. But I really sort of quite like the idea of being able to have some mini starts and finishes, but they're not really true starts and finishes because it's one whip. In there. Almost finished. Right, now I bought out Teeny Weeny. So Teeny Weeny came out in March. I can't remember why I bought this out. I think I bought it out mainly to work on it as a daily 30, and then it fitted a number of prompts, so I kept working on it. So this is Teeny Weeny by Plum Street Samplers. I started this as one of my mania pieces last year on the 12th of May. It's stitched on 36 count Edinburgh Truffle by Picture This Plus in all the called for threads. And you'll see a before pic. And I have done 1,683 stitches on this, and this is looking awesome. Look at it. Don't you think it just looks so awesome? I love it. So this time round, we've done all of this. So all the words are in before, a little bit of that and a little bit of that, but basically I've done all of this. So I've got 2 deckies, and the next one will come along soon. 1 fire hydrant, but I just love it. Just absolutely love it. Just beautiful. So yeah, but that one's gone away. It may sort of semi-stay out because it does. This almost became my next zombie run piece, but then I thought, no, I want to. Still got it upside down. This is the right way out. So I did nearly put this in as my zombie run piece to replace Christmas tea, but I decided to put another one in instead, and this will hopefully still get finished. It is on my Whip Go board as a goal to finish it, so with a bit of luck I will be finishing that very soon. Now, last whip. So, to replace Christmas tea, I had some choices, obviously. I didn't want to go big, but I didn't want to go too small because I want something that will last a couple of months. So I had a look and thought, well, I'm going to stick with the thy needle and thread theme. So I bought out Field Mouse Hollow. So I bought this out and started stitching on it yesterday. So I've done 159 stitches, which is not a lot, but I'm happy. And I'm using this currently for my Crystal Academy spell task that I have to stitch in. Well, it was to stitch in orange, red or yellow. So because I counted up, there's exactly 200 or just 200 and something stitches left in her dress of orange, because I'd done that previously, as you'll see from the before, because I would have put it up. So now, last night, I stitched all through this little bit here. So I'm really pleased with this. I love this. It's so sweet. So this works out perfectly. And then I have another task where I've got to stitch some purple thread. So depending on how well I go, I'll get this done. If I can sort of count, I could probably use that, or I'll probably use London more than anything else. I'm sort of thinking I'll use London for that Crystal Academy spell task I have to do. But yeah, look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? She looks so cute. So cute. So this is my new zombie run piece. This is not on my whip go board, so it doesn't matter if it doesn't get finished, but obviously with the zombie run, you either finish the whips or you can use the amulets to change them out. So far I've not changed any of mine out with amulets, and I've not changed from human to zombie or back again, so all my amulets that I've earned so far are intact. So I'm pleased about that. So that's every whip, I think. Yes, and that's all that's on my list, so it must be every whip. So a couple of little stats for you. In February, I stitched 7,023 stitches. In March, I stitched 7,882 stitches. And so far, in 2 days, in April, I've stitched 1,005 stitches. So I'm really pleased with that. Really awesome. Plans. Here's a quick run through of what I'm planning for this year, from this month, not this year, this month. I can only think 1 month. Sometimes I can only think 1 day in advance. Daily 30 group. Continuing on with my zombie run pieces. This weekend, with it being Easter, they're doing an Easter egg hunt. So I'm doing those. So you basically find 12 Easter eggs throughout. The moderators are popping these eggs up. You stitch 100 stitches. You don't actually have to stitch 100 stitches, just collect the eggs and you'll get the tokens, but I'm trying to stitch the 100 stitches where I can. The monthly challenge for Daily 30 this time is to stitch a spring basket. So we had to stitch our baskets. So the first thing you had to do was stitch 200 stitches on something you could use as your basket. I actually used Pomegranate Santa for that because I said that pot would work as a basket for me. So that was the first 200 stitches I did. And then there's 10 items for 200 stitches each, but you stitch for somebody else. So there's chocolate and fruit and flowers, bottled water, candle, cheese, which is why I need the cow. Can't think the other ones were. Doesn't matter. So essentially you will pick somebody who in the group who's in the event, post on there that you're stitching them flowers, chocolates or something, and then stitch for them, and then you go back to your post and say that you've stitched however many of the number 10. So I'll slowly work on that, but of course, because those stitches you can't use for your zombie run or your weeklies, I'd see how far I get. The weekly challenges I'm still doing. I haven't done as many of the actual tasks within the weekly ones lately because I've been focusing on my zombie run, and you can't double dip within those events. So I'm getting my daily 30s, and every now and then I'll get 1 or 2 others, but the zombie run pieces are actually taking up most of my time. I try to get them done at the beginning of the month, but it doesn't always work. So we got Cadbury Week running this week, and Unsolved Mysteries started on yesterday. And as I mentioned, I'm going to try and use Pomegranate Santa for those. No New Starts group. They're doing a whip riff off this week, or for 10 days, the first 10 days of the month. So the theme was laughter. So I started off with Pomegranate Santa, saying that Santas are always jolly and are always laughing. Then whip 2, I've linked down, what did I do? I then went to Field Mouse Hollow. Oh yes, I linked it by saying pomegranates have seeds, pumpkins have seeds. You can eat both pomegranate and pumpkin seeds. So that was my link for those 2. And then I'm then linking that into Quarantine Cats, because Field Mouse Hollow has mice and Quarantine Cats has mice. And that's as far as I got so far. Magical Stitches, yeah, well, just tootling along with that. So that's all good. There's nothing on at the moment because it's sort of midweek and the month ended and stuff. So, but they still build the cabins and repairing the camps. So That's fine. Mythical stitching this month is all about Japan. So they've got 3 events up. So watching something to do with Japan, movie or whatever, read a book, something like that. And then they've got 2 other themes with Japan. So one I've almost finished was the Sakura Festival, and then Hanami's the other one. So that's fine. Where I can, I will fit things into that. Enchanted stitching, Lady and the Tramp for this month. I love that movie. Oh, I just adore that movie. Last month it was a Meet the Robinsons, and I struggled finding things to fit prompts for that one. So I did a couple, and I did one of the monthly ones, but I didn't do very well in March on that one. And they've changed how they do their penalties now. So I always stitch at the royal level, which is 250 stitches for a prompt, and it used to be if you had a penalty it was only 375, so that was always achievable for me. They've now doubled it, where you have, if you want penalty, you have to stitch 500 stitches or double the prompt. So either I've got to drop down to the lower level, which I didn't really want to do, and I tried it for 1 week and didn't like it, because you don't get as many points, or I've got to stitch 500 stitches on one prompt. So yeah, but I think I should be better at Lady and the Tramp, because I've got things like dogs and cats that I can hopefully fit in. So where I can, I will. But the other thing I've found also is my zombie run ones. 2 of them I have quarantined essentially against the year-long parking, because I'm using them for the parking ones, and you can't double dip across weeklies, monthlies and park stitching. So it's all good. Semi-stain stitches. There's always something going on in that one. So this April is back to Choose My Whip. So we're back to doing that. Also, they've got one called Go Stitch, which is happening this month. So they choose every day, they'll randomly draw a letter of the alphabet. You then have to stitch 200 stitches on a chart starting with that letter. Or you can do 400 stitches by saying Go Stitch. And done Go Stitch both times so far. They have their monthly focus challenge. Quarantine Cats is back up against in that one. Whip Days is out. There's 4 prompts: a rainbow, animals in a zoo, whip with a boat, or take a chance day, which is start something new. Well, I won't be doing that, but I did pick animal in a zoo because you can find reindeers and deers in the zoo. So pomegranate Santas for that one. And if I go back to Happily Ever After, then I'll be able to do whip with a boat, because there's a boat in that. Scavenger hunt is continuing. I've never yet found a clue in scavenger hunt, but that's okay. I just do the task that comes up at the end of the month. And of course, their yearly take a hike. I've completed 14 of the 40 routes so far, so it's pretty good. Ultimate Cross Stitch Group is raining UFOs this month, and they're doing sort of like, by the looks of, a Pac-Man style game where there's rows of aliens, and you choose the colour, which then tells you how many stitches. So for the first week, I've got 1,400 stitches to stitch before the 7th of April. Well, oh, that's a shoo-in. And you've got to get 400 more stitches. So I've done that. Full coverage fanatics. So this month, the book challenge is children's stories. Now, I have not yet completed any of those challenges. I'm lucky if I get 1,000 stitches, as you can see on Quarantine Cats. But they've got a lower value of $17.60 on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, so I'm going to go for that one this time. Dynasty of Dragons. So at my Dynasty Thymara, we've got our second dragon essence so far. We're in between events, and they're doing a jousting challenge where we got knocked out in the first round, so I haven't really been doing much in that group at the moment. Crystal Academy, we had a field trip just recently, so we've survived that, and we're back to our normal stitching on our spells. I don't think I've seen anything come out as a pop-up for the month, for the weekend. I'm hoping I haven't missed something, but I'll go back in and have a look later. Myth and Stitch and Magic Stitch Wars. Well, I'm just a villager in that one, so I'm just a stitch for the clans and stay out of trouble. Try to, anyway. What else is coming up? International Hermit and Stitch weekend is on the 16th to the 18th of April. So next weekend is Whip Go, then it's International Hermit and Stitch weekend. Well, I Hermit and Stitch anyway, so that's all good. And other than that, that's it. So that's my plans. That's my whole, what I'm going to be doing. That's what I've done. So yeah, so we're out here, I think. I think that's it. I've got nothing more I can talk to you about. So I will say goodbye. I will say happy Easter, because it is Easter this weekend. So today is, I don't know if I told you, but today was the 3rd of April, which is obviously in the middle of the Easter weekend. Tomorrow being Easter Sunday will probably be when I get this video up, by the time I actually edit it and get it all going. So I want to get back to stitching this afternoon, so I'll probably edit tomorrow. But other than that, thank you very much for joining me. I hope I haven't rambled too much, and I hope you have enjoyed seeing the whips that I've had to show and my progress. Thank you very much for watching, liking and commenting, and thank you for subscribing. I appreciate all of you who come and subscribe and interact with my videos when they do come up. So happy Easter everyone, and I will see you again next time. Thank you. Bye.